alaikum. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for giving for me this opportunity to present this case, and this is our research project. Our research project titled as the cost consequences analysis of belimumab versus standard of care for the management of SLE in Saudi Arabia, a retrospective cohort study, under the supervision of Dr. Ibrahim al-Maghlout and Dr. Alzaid al. So, my outline of the talk today will be introduction, methods, and result and conclusion. I will be brief as the time limited. So SLE is a multisystematic autoimmune disease that carries high mortality and morbidity and with reduced health-related quality of life. The treatment and the management of SLE has improved in the last decades, and it's now moving from the standard of care treatment such as hydroxychloroquine, the systemic corticosteroids, and conventional immunosuppressive to more targeted therapeutic agents such as the belimumab. Belimumab is the first and the only approved biologic for the management of SLE as an add-on therapy. The use of belimumab in the clinical practice is limited due to high acquisition cost and the uncertainty about the cost effectiveness. As per to our knowledge, there is no study in Saudi Arabia compare the cost effectiveness of belimumab versus standard of care. So our study aimed to compare the cost and the effectiveness of belimumab versus the standard of care for the management of SLE in Saudi Arabia using real data work. So moving on to the methodology, this is a retrospective cohort study that was conducted in King Khalid University Hospital, Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, between the duration of March 2020 to December 21. The data was retrieved from the National SLE Prospective Cohort study in Saudi Arabia. Our inclusion criteria were adult patients above 18 years old diagnosed with SLE, managed with belimumab plus standard of care versus standard of care alone. And they were treated for at least 6 months. Outcome variables were the disease activity reduction using the systematic lupus disease activity index score and overall medical cost. So regarding the statistical analysis, we used the descriptive analysis to assess the mean, standard deviation, and frequencies. We used the interventional analysis such as the BERT, T-test, ANOVA as appropriate. Multiple linear regression was conducted to assess the impact of belimumab versus standard of care regarding the disease activity and also with controlling the co-founders. This was approved from the Institution Review Board of King Saud University College of Medicine. Moving on to the results, so 14 patients were assessed and were retrieved from the National Prospective SLE Cohort database. 56 patients were only included in our study. 15 patients were on belimumab, and 41 patients were in the standard of care treatment with a ratio 1:3, with a 1:3 ratio. So this table shows the baseline characteristics of the patients included in our study. You can see here the mean age was 38 years, and the majority of patients were adult, females, and the mean duration of disease was 13 years, and the mean duration of treatment was 10 months. There was quite similarity between the baseline characteristic of patients who were included in the study in the both columns, but with a quite differences, just as the lupus nephritis was found in 50% of patients in standard of care in comparison to 25% of patients in belimumab. Not surprisingly, that cutaneous lupus was found in 2/3 of patients in belimumab in comparison to 25% of patients in standard of care. We assessed the baseline disease activity using the systematic lupus erythematosus disease activity index. You can see here that 2/3 of patients in the standard of care were in the no activity or mild activity, where in patient in belimumab were in the mild to moderate disease activity, which means that patient in belimumab as a baseline were having higher disease activity. Moving on to assess the impact of belimumab in the disease activity, we use the multiple regression analysis while controlling the co-founders such as the baseline disease activity, duration of treatment, age, gender, and duration of illness. You can see here with the use of belimumab, there was a significant reduction in the disease activity with a regression coefficient 3.6 and a statistically significant p-value. Moving on to this figure shows the average cost of belimumab versus the standard of care. The belimumab cost an average $8,500 in comparison to standard of care that cost an average $3,200. And just a quick reminder that we assessed only the medical direct cost, that, for instance, including the prescribed drugs, lab orders, outpatient visits, etc. For this table, we are assessing the differences in the cost and the disease activity with the use of belimumab versus standard of care treatment. You can see here the difference in the mean difference in the cost between the belimumab and the standard of care was $5,300, with the 95 confidence interval to be to fall within this range. We're using the bootstrap analysis with 10,000 replications. Regarding the belimumab, you can see here that it showed a reduction in the disease activity upon follow-up by 3 points in comparison to standard of care, where they showed no regression or worse outcome. So we can say from this table that for each reduction, for 1 point reduction in the belimumab, it will cost $1,500. In this bootstrap distribution of the cost effectiveness, we showed that there is a 96 showed that the reduction in the disease activity with the use of belimumab, but it will be more effective but at a higher cost. And 4% showed that there will be worse outcome with a higher cost. So in conclusion, belimumab is an effective biologic therapy for the management of SLE and reducing acral damage. Belimumab has demonstrated better effectiveness in combination with the standard of care in comparison to standard of care alone, with a higher upfront direct cost and potentially long-term cost avoidance. For sure, our study has some limitations, such as a very small sample size, a single center. We did not assess the quality of life of patients after the belimumab introduction, and also we assessed only the disease activity using one scale, where there are other scales also. But we believe that we are the first step for full economic evaluation in the future for the belimumab and other biologic, inshallah, in Saudi Arabia and in our region. Thank you so much.